Welcome to today's Sugardale Charge Chat.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Charge Chat. I am Scott Zurilla. Glad you are with us. And it's a real pleasure to welcome in the Director of Operations for the Canton Charge, Brendon, and the head coach of the Charge, Nate Reinking. Guys, great to see you. How you doing?
We're good. Hey, man. Good to see you.
Excellent. Before we get started, of course, we want to welcome in all of our Charge Nation members, our corporate partners, and all of our Charge fans checking in today to see how everything is going. So we want to thank them for joining us as well. Now, before we get into the questions, I've got some fun ones to get to. Under these circumstances, a very challenging time for everybody. Just want to check in and see how you guys are doing thus far. Brendon, I asked you a moment ago, you're back home. How are things for you so far?
Things are good. Just trying to make the most of this time. I'm actually back home in Indy. I've got two younger siblings living at this house with my parents, and so it's been kind of nice to get to spend some extra time around the family that normally we wouldn't have. So just trying to enjoy it.
Hey, speaking of family, you've got the young family, so the dynamic for you might be a little bit different. How's it going there?
It's going. There's some days they're bouncing off the walls, but my wife and I are trying to learn how to homeschool a little bit. But like Brendon said, it's great to have this time with the family.
Well, I would think for you, just real quick before we get to the question, you said homeschooling. Well, you're a teacher by nature because you're a basketball coach. Depending upon the topic, I'm sure you're probably doing okay.
Doing okay, but it's been a long time since I've been in the educational thing. So X and O's, they're easy for me. So Sawyer's getting a little bit of that, and then I'm leaving the math and all that type of thing to my wife.
The tough stuff, huh? All right. Very good. Well, let's get moving here. We've got a handful of questions. We're going to kind of bounce them back and forth depending upon who the question is from and who they're asking for. So we will begin. BYU, this is for you. This is from Pinar Elliott, a member since the first season. So Pinar, we appreciate you being with us all this time. Question is, I know it's early to tell, but do you believe we are going to have a season next year, and is this season canceled for sure?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everyone that submitted questions and all the supporters of, from Charge Nation and all our fans. And, we just couldn't be, we wouldn't have jobs without you guys. So I just want to thank all you guys and, hope and wish you all's families kind of health and safety throughout this time. But, I think to that question, next season I think is, still kind of going to go on a schedule. Maybe, some of the dates get pushed back or changed a little bit. And then as far as this season, I wouldn't say anything is for sure canceled yet. The last I spoke to the league, they're still kind of waiting things out and pulling a lot of kind of uncertainty still, I guess, with this whole situation. But I know that, they want to try and finish this out in some capacity. So I wouldn't say even this season, canceled for sure. But still a lot of uncertainty.
Coach, up next, it is for you. It is from Larry Powers. He's been a member for 2 years. Larry, thank you for your time. Coach, Larry wants to know, and I love this one, how do you keep your cool when you deal with some of these officials? We can see the calls from the stands, so I know it has to drive you crazy on the court. And real quick, you and I have talked about this. Take it away.
Can we just skip to the next question, please?
Give us your best middle of the road answer.
Well, inside, I don't think I'm going to be as calm as you see on the outside. But I also, it's the developmental league, so they really try and work with these officials to try and get them better. So you try and take that on board and give them a little grace. The other side of it is, if you get wrapped up in the officials, you kind of lose track and concentration on what you're trying to do with your team. So I kind of, it is part of the game, and I really try and put my effort and my mindset into the guys and keeping them straight on the floor and go with that.
Coach, I'll let you save your real answers for me when you and I are floating through the airport coming up next season. Question for you, Nate, coming up here back to back. This one is from Arnie Glantz. First of all, he says, hopefully everyone will stay safe and see you in November. Nate, he would like to ask you why you stand in front of him and blocks his view of the game during the most exciting and or important parts of the game. Now, before you answer, again, real quick, Arnie, you and I are in the same boat. I'm on the scores table. Nate's always in front of me at this end. So I feel you, brother. I feel you. Coach, what do you think? What do you have to say to Arnie about that?
Well, now that I know it's a big issue and him being a lawyer, then I'll stand at the other end and give him a better view. But I know he's a great basketball mind, so I like to stand next to him and see if he has any advice for me.
All right. Nate, we got another one for you. This will be from Chuck Taylor. Jan Burke is my Canton Charge representative. My grandson Preston and I have been Charge members for slightly over 3 seasons now and hope to enjoy many more. So Chuck and Preston, thank you again for your time. Coach, what's the biggest challenge the coaches face going into a new season each and every year?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't think there's one actual challenge. I think in the G League, it's a plethora of challenges. And, coming into like this season, we had a couple new staff members. So, it's our job to get them accustomed to the league, the technology, how we do things, and just get them comfortable with their role on staff. The other side of it is we have lots of new players every season. So, and these guys are coming into the league with an underlying current. They have personal goals. So you're really trying to build something with chemistry, and you have maybe 7-8 days before the season starts. So one of the biggest challenges is to get them to trust us, trust the challenge that's going to be ahead for them, and then trust the process of really hitting that head on. And most importantly to me is to trust each other, so that when they go out on that court and 7-8 days of practice, that they're actually competing together and playing well together.
Hey, Brendon, I'm going to bring you in on this question as well, because I saw you nodding your head for starters, but as the guy that pretty much puts this together, how do you relate to what Nate was saying, but also in your own responsibilities? How is it a challenge for you to begin every season?
Yeah, I mean, as Nate said, I think it's tough. Training camp is 10 days now, where you draft a guy on a Saturday and you fly him in on Sunday, and you start training camp on Monday, and then it's just a whole group of new bodies and guys that kind of every single year. Obviously, we had a few returners this year, which was great. But from our end, it's really important for me to try and get good human beings as part of the team that so that they can all get along off the court and on the court, and they play for each other. And, like Nate said, all these guys have, personal goals to reach to the NBA or the higher level or something like that. And so I think it's important to find guys that understand, this is a personal goal, but, we also have team goals too. And sometimes I got to put the team before myself. And so just doing a lot of homework and trying to find intel on guys that are going to be good guys.
One more quick follow-up. Either one of you can answer this question, but, Brendon, you had mentioned about having some guys return makes it easy. I'm guessing for both of you, that's a foundation for you, Brendon, to, get the roster started going the direction you want. And Nate, it's always great to have some guys coming back that you've got a rapport with, know what they do, and just, where to put them moving forward.
Yeah, well, I love having returning guys. Brendon does a great job picking and choosing, who that may be, or, and once they're there, they know who I am, what the philosophies are, how we do things. And it's great. Like, I just use them as an extension of the coaching staff and give them a lot of responsibility, to teach the guys that are coming in and just share what we do here.
All right, we've got 2 questions and a comment, for one for each of you. From Mitch Reese. He's a season ticket holder for 3 years, and he's been attending games for 4 years. Mitch, we appreciate that. First question for you, BYU. And this is a tough one here. Ooh, I'm going to like this one. The answer. Why did you get rid of Tyler Cook? Seems like he would have had a nice impact on the team moving into the playoffs. Yeah,
Tyler's a great player, and I have no doubt that he would have been able to make a nice impact. But I don't think it's fair to say we got rid of him. We made a trade midseason, and we got Vince Edwards and a future asset to use, and for next season, or this could have been used at the trade deadline. But Vince is a player that we're interested in, and from the Cavs standpoint and the Kansas standpoint, he was having a really good year with the OKC Blue before we traded for him, and he won a championship last year with RGV, and that was our ultimate goal, is to win a championship, and be able to bring in a guy that has championship level experience in the G League, and then also to just add more shooting to the team, I think is always good. And So I think that it wasn't necessarily us getting rid of Tyler Cook. It was the opportunity to add Vince. And, I think by the way the team played kind of moving forward with that, like even though Vince maybe didn't have as much impact on the court, like it worked for us. And, Nate did a great job kind of integrating him in, and we kind of took off from there.
All right. Up next, Nate, this will be for you. Again, from Mitch, he'll ask, but you're back to coaching now. No more math right now.
All right.
What are your thoughts on banging the ball inside down the stretch? It seems like we fall in love with the three early in the game and then keep shooting them even when we cool off. If we went inside for a higher percentage shot and potentially drew the foul at the end of games, it seems like we might have a better chance, especially in close games. What do you say about that?
All right. I may need to put Mitch down on the bench with me then. No, he makes great points. Threes are part of our DNA. The analytics, getting up threes are part of what we do. And the game has gone that way a lot, just points per possession from the three. But there's situations game by game in my mind. I was looking at it through a schedule. Don't quote me on it, but I think we were 8-2 in games that were decided by 4 points or less. So I thought we did a good job with that this year, and the guys did a great job finishing games. I remember one game we went to Sheldon Mack. He had 30 in one game, and he hit a game winner at the beginning of the season. Another game, Levi had 47. I think I drew up 6-7 plays down the stretch just for Levi, just give him the ball and get out of the way. I think, there was another time we even threw the ball down like he was, Mitch, you're saying, to Marquise. And we felt like we had an advantage there, and we did. He went to the line, and he was a great shooter from the free throw line. So I just, it's different games, different situations. I just believe it's a combination of your preparation. You're looking for advantages, especially who is rolling in that certain game. You want to get them the ball. I prep for end of a game lineups with my staff. They do an exceptional job with that. And, the analytics and a little bit of feel. And you just go to what you think down the stretch is going to get that win for us.
And Nate, I was going to say, you mentioned the word feel there just a moment ago. It's the same with, I'm sure, when you decide what lineups to go with. Sometimes you'll go big, maybe Dean and Marquise and some bigger lineups in the final few moments. And sometimes you have maybe Sheldon playing the five. So a lot of it, like you said, the feel, and also playing the game and coaching the game as the game progresses, and not necessarily trying to decide beforehand. Correct?
Oh yeah. I mean, especially in our league, you don't even know who's going to be there night in, night out. I asked Sean Wyatt, I always ask him, how many lineups have we used in different seasons? And it's usually, when we're getting close to 50 games, we've already had 30 some different lineups. So again, it's night in, night out. To me, my belief is just you kind of go by feel. You have a preparation. Hopefully that goes well as you want it. But at the end of the time, you're going to have to make a decision on, what 5 guys that you believe are going to win and who's playing well and playing well together at that moment.
Mitch also has some good words to say on the way out. He says, wanted to say what a fun season it has been. The guys really seem to like each other and have become the best team that he has seen in Canton in the last 4 years that he's been attending. Shout out to the coaches and all the Canton Charge staff that have provided the fans with enjoyable entertainment. Please keep yourselves safe. Thank you, Mitch. We appreciate that. All right, let's move on. This will be for both of you. Let's start with BYU. This is from John, a Charge Nation member since the beginning, over 9 years. Thank you, John. It was a magical season, especially with all the wins at home. BYU, what do you think were the factors that made the home record so impressive?
Well, I mean, the fact that even with us all 9 seasons, that's a factor in itself. That's pretty incredible. Thank you for that. Congratulations on that. But, I think, it kind of speaks for itself, just having the home crowd behind us, create momentum. I think momentum's one of those things that, is really hard to measure from an analytics or a numbers standpoint, but everyone that plays the game or is around the game, can feel it and can sense it. And, all those late games, maybe, the fans helped us get a call or two, or, gave our guys a little extra juice to, get that loose ball or get that 50-50 ball. So I think it's, Charge Nation, the fans at the games itself, and, Mike Levy and his staff do a great job kind of with the whole atmosphere there, um, just all the in-game entertainment and, the speakers. I know Nate sometimes thinks they're too loud playing music, but I think it kind of pumps the guys up a little bit. And so I think it's just a whole combination of things, but it all starts with the fans themselves.
Nate, before we go to your answer, I think when you ask the players too, it makes a difference when you've got fans cheering and loud and banging. And, we have fans that have been around a long time, and they're very involved in these games. There's no question about that.
Yes, they are. I mean, that's what they make our home court the advantage. And they're very knowledgeable fans. Like you said, they've been around for a long time. They've seen great teams because of the history of the Charge, starting with Alex Jensen and Steve Hetzel and Jordy. They've laid a foundation here that success is expected. And they really, they come to these games expecting to see a great team put out on that floor, and they really get behind them. And I think that's a huge advantage for our guys. And, my experience in the league, I've seen it too. We put a huge emphasis on a great start. And this season, we had I think 5 out of 6 were home from the start, and then 9 out of 15. Like our first 15 games, there's 9 at home. And we really put an emphasis on the start with the staff. And we really hammer that home with the guys, because at some point in the season, with all the movement of the players, you're going to hit a rough patch. You may drop a couple games here and there. The chemistry just falters, or you're trying to figure it out with different lineups. And if you can get a great start, your record will carry you through those stretches and get you to the playoffs. And to me, this season was a perfect example of that. We started great, and it carried us through.
And something else, guys, you can comment if you like, but being around the team since its inception, and this is any sport, anywhere, coworkers, any walk of life. Some coworkers you like, some you don't like as much. I think the guys this year, they seem like they really like each other. They seem very personable. All the fans really seem to like all the guys. It wasn't like, a couple of guys we don't care for. They're a very likable group of guys this year, and it seemed like it really showed on the floor.
No, it did. You could tell. I mean, they liked each other on and off the court. And like I said, that chemistry, to me, that's the biggest part of this game. And they really took that to heart, and they really, really gelled this season.
All right, let's move on. We've got 3 more questions. Boy, this is going to be one for BYU, one for Coach, and then one for both of you. From Vince Sino from our Charge Nation fan account. BYU, you are first. A very few impactful trades happened in the G League. Trading Gary Payton II for Sheldon Mack happened to be one of the most impactful in Charge history. Take us through how that transpired and what led you to pull the trigger on that trade.
Yeah, when we get the list for the guys that are going to be in the G League draft a week or 2 before the draft, we all, Nate and myself and all the coaches and some other staff, kind of cram in the conference room and try and watch as much film on all these guys from wherever they come from. And, it's kind of hit or miss list sometimes, as Nate, and I were watching grainy YouTube film from the Czech Republic or something like that. But, Sheldon Mack was one of a few guys kind of in the draft that had, NBA experience in the past, played summer league this past year. And he was one of the guys that, man, this guy I think could really help us. And, I think if we could get him, he could be a big piece to us. And so, this deal actually kind of started from the Sindarius Thornwell trade that we sent Sindarius to RGV. And that's how we got Gary Payton along with their first round pick. And we kind of knew that after talking with Gary's guys, he had a relationship with Kobe Carl out in South Bay, and he was probably going to sign overseas unless he could go play for Kobe Carl. And so it's trying to help a guy out to achieve his dream of getting to the NBA and Gary Payton, and he was professional about it, and wanted to help him out as best we could. So worked out a deal with South Bay and or to get Mac there, and I think it kind of worked out for everyone. Gary ended up getting called up, and Mac ended up getting called up as well and being really, really good for us. And so it was kind of a win-win for everybody there.
Nate, before I get to your question, I want to ask and follow up on Sheldon Mack, because while I was calling the games, you've seen a lot of basketball. How many guys have you seen that has a bag of tricks like him to get his shot off? That guy, not the biggest, not the quickest, not the fastest. Boy, when he went one-on-one, if he needed to get a shot off, he certainly could, couldn't he?
Oh, he has a special talent, and that, you know, that's why he was in the NBA, and he made it again this year. And like I said, it was he's one of those guys you just kind of give him the ball sometimes and get out of his way, and he was able to create, and he was really special, you know, and it's just a testament to the way he came back. You know, he's got a great story with the 2-year rehab, and just making it back, and the process he went through. It was really, really special to see him raise his game back to the level he wanted to.
He was fun to watch, boy. He could score in bunches. All right, Coach, put the coaching hat back on here. Charge, you were second best in the G League, shooting 77% from the free throw line. A critical stat and a benefit for the team with the new free throw rule. How or did you prepare differently for this season from previous seasons to be successful from the line? And thoughts on the rule overall, would you like to see it continued or even expanded to the NBA?
All right. Well, first, starts with great shooters. So that's not my doing at all. That's those guys being able to knock down free throws. You know, if we weren't second in the league, say we were last in the league, I would absolutely hate the rule. But when the league came in, or when the rule came into the league, I was completely against it. I just thought it was an aspect of the game that, you know, it should just stay that way. As it went on, like I said, it helped that we were great shooting, so it didn't really, I thought it helped us. I don't know if I love the rule yet. I think it needs some more data and some more time, maybe years and more, you know, more statistical data with that. But overall, you know, with the way our guys shot it, it was fun. It was actually, it sped the game up a little bit. It does make a difference if you do miss, because there can be a swing of points quickly happen. And that goes back to Mitch's question at the end of games. Like, is it really worth pounding the ball inside? Now we get to the free throw line, and unless it's, you know, late in that time clock where you do get those 2 free throws, is it worth throwing the ball inside and missing one? Because that swing can happen really quick. But like I said, with a bigger sample size, I think, you know, again, I'm kind of biased now because of how well we shot it. So it was actually enjoyable this year to try something new.
Well, for what it's worth, at the beginning of the season, I hated it because I had to learn how to do my score sheet differently. And I was like, how am I going to write this? How am I going to say this? So it took a good 30, 40 games for me to finally get into my rhythm, and I did. So I don't know if I want to keep it that way because I've been to that rhythm, or if I want to go back. But either way, I'll figure it out. All right, now this is for the both of you guys. BYU, will start with you. Now, the G League, of course, is all about player development. Charge had 7 players called up this season, and he says congratulations. What players stood out the most this year in development and making themselves more marketable for the NBA, whether they received a call up or not?
Man, that's a tough question. That's a good question, though, because, you know, I mean, like you guys said, that's part of the whole point of the G League is to develop players. And, you know, Nate and the staff down there do an excellent job, you know, not just developing the guys on the court, but also off the court as well as people. And so, you know, it's hard to pick just one, but maybe kind of one that, you know, when you're reading the question, made kind of jumped out to me kind of from where he was a year ago today to now is probably Marquise Bolden. He's probably made one of the biggest jumps kind of, you know, from being kind of an afterthought almost at Duke, you know, behind Zion Williamson and, you know, Wendell Carter and guys like that. And maybe kind of getting lost in the shuffle, you know, to becoming a call-up guy and a guy that I think, you know, can be an NBA player for a really long time just with his size and his mobility. I think Nate and the staff did a really good job. Kendall Jones, I know, especially worked a lot with him as a big man coach too, just kind of refining his game. He's got a nice shooting stroke. I mean, that's, you know, you talked about our free throws. That's why we shot free throws so well, is because, you know, as a big man, he can make free throws. So between him and Dean, normally your bigs are your kind of worst free throw shooters. That wasn't the case at all. And so I think kind of from where he was a year ago to where he is today, I think Marquise has probably made one of the biggest jumps in my mind.
Nate, how about you? Anybody stand out to you?
It's tough. It's tough because I love all our guys. And when I saw this question, you know, I just I put down 10 names because that's what we do. Like, we want everybody to be successful. And this, you know, like I said, Mac, you know, 2 years to come back and get him back playing at an NBA level. You know, Levi and JP got call-ups to the USA team. So that was huge for them. like Marquise, like Brendon was saying, his size and rim protection is special. So he should get a look again up top. Malik scoring ability, that's why he got a call up. Dom's a special talent at the defensive end. Vince, like we said, he's a big wing that can shoot, and he was having a great year down in OKC. Mar, he comes in, he's all around. He's one of those dependable guys you're going to get in and night out. Big Al, Herndon. Like when we have moving parts, he came in and he was a shooting big that helped us get wins. And that's a special talent with his size. And Alex Stein, I mean, these guys, he works harder than I've seen anybody. And it didn't matter if he was playing or not. He was getting his workout to be ready for when he did get his minutes. And when he did, he came in and he knocked down threes and he defended. And like I said, I'm talking to European coaches. These guys all develop throughout the year, and we're trying to get them to the next level. And if it takes them a couple more steps to get to where they actually want to be in the NBA, that's our goal for these guys. So to me, it's kind of a loaded question, and I'll give that answer. But from the top down, I loved our whole roster.
All right, let's move on. We've got a question for both of you. We will get it from Chris Anderson, a Charge Nation fan, member, and you guys will like this, a basketball lifer. For both of you, let's start with BYU. With all the craziness that's been going on, what have you been doing to stay ahead of the competition and refreshed yourselves?
It's a great question, Chris, and I appreciate the basketball lifer thing. I think kind of all of us in this business are to some extent. And, I think, one thing I've been trying to do is I do a lot of, scouting for both the Charge and the Cavs, and kind of they go hand in hand. And so just trying to watch as much film as possible on guys right now. I'm just downloading old college games or downloading the international games or FIBA competition and stuff like that, just watching as much as possible. And then also, just keeping in touch with all our guys. I just a couple days ago was texting with all of them and, just encouraging them to look like, the season's, not canceled officially or anything like yet. So like if we're able to come back and maybe play the playoffs or something, or, let's make sure we're the team that's in the best shape of any of these other teams, because that can make us, win a game or two more or something. So just kind of encouraging our guys. And, I know that, BJ and Kevin and Josh and, Leron are all working with those guys too, kind of sending them different, workouts and diet stuff, and, just trying to keep them in shape and ready. So hopefully, when we are able to come back, or if we are able to come back, we'll be the most ready team of any team.
Nate, how about you at the dinner table? Are you taking the salt and pepper and the kids' Legos, and are you kind of diagramming plays, things like that?
Well, contrary to Brendon, I've been watching a lot more Mickey Mouse Club and Paw Patrol and some Star Wars. But once they go to bed, I'm with Brendon. I throw the laptop on. Brendon's throwing us some names to actually watch and scout for players for next season. There's also we just missed the game. So I try and stay in touch with coaches around and even European coaches, and just kind of, throw ideas back and forth and try and learn different things you could actually try next season. Or even if this season, continues, it might be something you might throw in and use now. So you're trying to learn, I'm trying to read more with this extra time, but again, it's nice to spend the time with the family, and then once the kids are in bed, then it's time to do a little work too.
All right, got another question for the both of you. This comes from Jan Burke, Charge Nation's mom. I think I know Jan Burke. For both of you, let's start with BYU. What does it mean to the coaching staff and players to have fans that support the team at such a high level that they make the commitment to become season-long Charge Nation members?
No, I think that, Nate touched on it a little bit earlier. Just, I think when you have somebody commit to a kind of a full season-long member, and, that you see them day in and day out come to games, the knowledge that they have and they acquire by, coming to every single game, not just, the stats that they might know, or, what you might get from listening to you on TV, but, being there and kind of seeing the interactions of the guys and getting a feel for the culture we're trying to create, and the bond that the players are creating amongst themselves. I think that's all part of our culture as a whole, is just having fans that are knowledgeable and supporting, and understand that the guys get to know them, and that helps make their whole experience of living in Canton and being in Canton better. And I think we've all kind of seen the importance of mental health, and I think that those guys being able to see a familiar face at the mall or a restaurant or BAM or something like that, like that all adds to their mental health, and that makes them play better on the court as well.
Nate, how about you?
They just become part of the family, and it's huge to see the same faces night in and night out and make that commitment, just to have that support. There's a lot of us on staff, et cetera, that actually live and grew up in this area. So it's a special, especially for me personally, it's a blessing to have this job and work with the people I do, and to see, people that are out in the community supporting us and being a part of that weekend, night out, night in and night out. It makes it a special time when you walk out onto that court and see those familiar faces. It makes it like home.
All right, guys, we've got time for a couple more. We're going to squeeze this one in from all the way down in North Carolina. Colleen asks, what has been, if any, an indulgence that you've been partaking in this quarantine time? Hands in the cookie jar too much pizza? What's going on? Anything for you guys? Coach, we'll start with you.
I can go get a whole tub of chocolate chip cookies right now. I've already had 5 today. So yeah, I'm a baked goods coffee guy. I mean, that's what I enjoy doing on the road. That's one of the things I miss, not seeing the staff and being out with the players and, hitting the coffee shop and preparing for a game, and getting the pastry on the side. That's my indulgence.
All right, BYU, what about you?
Man, so, I'm normally on the road 20 to 25 days out of the month. And so I'm, normally never home this much in my life in the same spot. But, when I was back in my apartment in Cleveland, it was just me. So I was running out of ways to cook eggs and cheese and deli meats. But being home now and having some of my mom's home cooking has been great. So just enjoying meals with the family here.
All right, we've got time for one last one. You might know this guy. His name is Scott, and he's been with the organization and been a fan for 9 years. But he wants to know, it's kind of a follow-up from Colleen's question, when he sees you again, will you be 10 pounds heavier or 10 pounds lighter? Nate?
I'm going to go right in the middle. I think I'm going to be the same.
Because I know you like your yoga, but you're also a foodie, so it could go either way.
Well, my philosophy is, work out because I can eat more. So I'm still trying to get these home workouts in, riding a mountain bike outside, getting some fresh air. But it's most importantly, I do it just so I can eat more.
Well, we're going to take your word for it because we can only see shoulders up. So we don't know what's going on around the middle. BYU, same for you. What about you?
I think I'll be probably 10 pounds heavier, but I think it's a good 10 pounds where, I tore my Achilles at the start of the season.
Right.
And so, I lost, most of the muscle kind of my whole right calf and leg. And so, when you see me next, I'll just say, if I'm 10 pounds heavier, it's all my right leg. So it's all muscle mass.
Guys, we appreciate the time so much. It was a lot of fun. Boy, the 35, 40 minutes went by really fast. All the best to you and to your families. Thanks so much for the time again. And first and foremost, again, stay healthy. And we hope to see you guys at the Civic Center for Charge basketball real soon.
Thanks, Z-Man. Good seeing you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
All right. And to all of our Charge Nation members, corporate partners, and all of our Charge Nation fans throughout, we appreciate you taking the time to join us as well. Stay healthy, stay home, and we hope to see you at a Charge basketball game again real soon.